Hey, welcome back everyone. It's Todd White Metalworks, and today we're going to go through a couple things with the front and the rear end as far as the assembly goes. Right now I'm just mocking up the truck, so this is video number 2. So I'm basically going to mock up this entire truck, make sure everything's functional, and then from there we tear it down, and then we do paint, powder coat, and then basically see what fits, what doesn't fit, where we need to make some changes. But as far as the front end goes, right now I got the disc brakes on. I just mocked those up, put the bearings in. I did not grease them right now, just tighten those down. And then for the rear end, I've already installed the third member. Just put a couple bolts on here to keep it intact, and now I'm going to walk you through putting the rest of these parts together for the rear end. Okay, so on the bearing race here, I was talking to my neighbor. These bearing races were actually almost like a press fit. After talking with my neighbor, he said you want to keep them like kind of loose. The reason you don't want them to be a really tight fit is it actually can damage the bearing. So what we did, if you can come in here and see this is actually moving. I just took a Dremel and kind of worked the areas that were a little bit tight on the race, but now you can see the grease is on there, but you can kind of see it's moving now. So that way when the bearing goes in, there will be no pressure to have uneven wear. What we're going to do next is we're going to just put in the axles. So these are the axles that actually just came with the truck. Like I said, I purchased this from Rideman Ranch, so all these parts did come from Rideman Ranch. So I don't know exactly what manufacturer these are, but and it takes a minute to get them in. But there you go, and you can see the seal here. It just pops right in. Okay, so now we're going to install the rear emergency brakes. These are disc brakes with, like I said, with an emergency brake. They came from Performance Engineering and Manufacturing. So these are going to replace the brackets that actually go here that hold the axle in. So typically it goes like that. But what we're going to do is we're going to replace it with this kit here. So I've already kind of assembled it a little bit, but as you can see on the sheet, big bracket towards the outside. This one is going to hold the axle in place, and then there's some spacers here, and then that's actually the bracket for the disc brake. So we're going to put those together right now. Okay, so if you look here, I just snugged 2 bolts, the bottom one here and the top one here. So this is just snug for now. I actually just went down to the hardware store and got some regular nuts just to tighten this down. So those are tight, these are tight. So now let's put on the rotor. And these studs right here were a little bit out of line, so my neighbor told me a really cool trick is if you have some studs that are like misaligned, I basically stacked some washers. So I took some larger washers like that, make sure the diameter is big enough to go over the stud, and then I threw on these washers like so, and I threw on a nut like that, and I just torqued it down until the pressure actually made the stud straight again. So a cool little trick. And then with this on, if you have to bump it with a mallet a little bit. But I only had one of them out of alignment, so. But with that being said, we'll throw this on. So this was my problem child right here, this one. So we're able to, and obviously don't just hit it with a hammer, you'll damage the threads. So make sure you got a bolt on there or something. And there's probably other tricks out there as well, but that's the one he showed me, which worked good for me. Alright, so we got those mocked up. Like I said, I got nuts down at the hardware store just to hold them in place. The ones that came with the kit were nylon, so I didn't want to take the time to put the nylon nuts on everything. So next is the brake, but if you come around this side, over here, from the back, you can kind of see the setup there. So these are 5/16 spacers, and I believe that's a 1/8. So you stack the larger ones on the inside. I guess it really doesn't matter, but that's how the instructions say it. So this is kind of the setup for that. Now we're going to put on the disc brake. This one has an emergency brake, so make sure this is towards the inside of the truck or inside of the rotor. And we're going to make this one here. Like that. Okay, something like that. Obviously the bottom one will go in the bottom, but that's kind of the setup for that. And we're gonna duplicate that on the other side, but as far as the rear end goes, this is as far as we're gonna mock it up. The next thing I'm gonna do is draw in the computer some base, like mock-up tires or rims or whatever you want to call it, wheels and tires. And I'm just going to do a 27-inch piece of board, probably like 1/2 inch thick, maybe put a couple of them together and router them out, bolt them together and put them on as mock-up rims. So I was going to buy those orange ones, but they're $1,000, so I'll skip on that. But that's the video for today. That's our rear end, front end, rear end mock-up. So thanks for joining us, and please like and subscribe and share these videos if you guys like them. All right, have a good day. Thank you.